in the CCN News. I'm Keith and Archibald, and I'll be your host for this evening. In today's news story, we'll be covering an article by Pamela Kohler, Lisa Manhart, William Lafferty, titled Abstinence-Only and Comprehensive Sex Education, an Initiation of Sexual Activity and Teen Pregnancy. Abstinence-only messages teaches that sex should be delayed until marriage, and discussion of birth control methods are typically limited to statements about ineffectiveness. Comprehensive programs include abstinence messages, but also provide information on birth control methods to prevent pregnancy and condoms to prevent STDs. In the article, they conducted research among never-married heterosexual adolescents aged 15 to 19 who participated in the National Survey of Family Growth. During this, adolescents reported on receiving formal sex education before their first sexual encounter. Adolescents who received comprehensive sex education were significantly less likely to report teen pregnancy than those who received no formal sex education, whereas there were no significant effect with abstinence-only education. Also, teaching about contraception was not associated with increased risk of adolescence, sex activity, or STD. Abstinence-only education did not reduce the likelihood of engaging in vaginal intercourse, but comprehensive sex education was associated with lower reporting of vaginal intercourse. However, neither abstinence-only nor comprehensive sex education significantly reduced the likelihood of reported STD diagnosis. To continue this research, we have Jill Markle conducting field interviews at the IRSC campus to get the public's opinion on how they feel about sex education. Over to you, Jill.
Thanks, Keith. And so I'm with Nick, and I'm going to be asking him some questions. So Nick, do you believe teen pregnancy would decrease if sex ed was taught more?
I think teen pregnancy would decrease immensely if we looked at it with a more important factor, because if we taught it to kids who were a little younger, they may not get it. I think we got to get at the right age between 13 to 14-year-olds and educate them the proper way so, they don't go out there and, do stuff unprotectedly and, up the rate of teen pregnancy, considering in the state of Florida, it's growing immensely compared to New York, where I'm originally from. So I noticed that was actually a big factor in Florida. So yeah, I think truly if we taught kids about teen pregnancy earlier than I guess high school, I think it would do a big impact for the society or our generation.
Thank you. So another question I'm going to ask is, what form of sex education should be taught to teenagers, comprehensive or abstinence only?
I think if they go with abstinence, it's a good. You can't really go wrong with abstinence. So I think that's probably the best direction to go when it comes to that.
Okay, that wraps it up. Thank you. Back to you, Ethan.
Excellent job, Jill. Now we're going to discuss another article titled Talk About Sex: The Battles Over Sex Education in the United States by Janice M. Irvine. In the article, it discusses the firing of a Surgeon General by the name of Jocelyn Elders, who thought it would be beneficial to teach children about masturbation as a part of sex education. This was no coincidence, as this was during the time family values had been an important organizing theme with Republicans. During this time, it was risky to speak about sex education. However, a few years later, the Republican managers of the Clinton impeachment made public the sexual explicit details of the president's affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky. Significantly, they posted the Star Report on the internet. Suddenly, sexual narratives about the cigar, fellatio, masturbation were widely available to young people at a simple click of a mouse. Much of the cultural power of sexual speech sparks battles over what to say in the classroom. This derives from the ideal of romantic childhood. Riddled with contradictions and inflicted by adult anxieties, the lingering image of the romantic child is nonetheless a politicalized and highly exploited icon. It demands that we ignore the complexities of real children while policing their exposure to sexual knowledge in ways that are impossible. The image of the romantic child keeps us vulnerable to political rhetoric by groups that count on provoking strong feelings by placing the terms children and masturbation in the same sentence. Under such circumstances, Sex education can be, at best, uncomfortable prospect, and sex educators themselves can be susceptible to suspicions that because they talk with children about sexuality, that they are unsavory and if not outright dangerous. Wow, that was great information from both articles. Now we're going to head over to Bianca G as she continues field interviews at IRC campus. Over to you, Bianca.
Thank you, Keith. And today I'm here with,
I'm Dr. Onyejekwe.
right, and I'm going to ask her questions about sexual education and her opinions on that.
Okay.
So the first question is, were you taught about sexual intercourse as a teen?
Yes, I was. At the age of 12, 13 in my high school. I went to high school in South Africa, so yes.
Do you think it was effective?
Yes, it was. Because if you come from a third world country, there are some cultures where parents, some of them may view it as taboo or uncomfortable to talk to their children about sex. And then you know that you're not getting the right information if you're only hearing from your friends or your girlfriends. So we learned about sexual education in school. It was part of the curriculum.
And what did you learn about?
How babies are made, the whole biology of things, the proper names to call things. And, we were taught about using protection and how they work. And they got nurses and doctors to come and talk to us as well. Yeah.
And with this type of teaching, do you believe that it would cause an increase in STDs and teen pregnancy?
Not really. I mean, if you're aware of the pros and cons and the consequences of each action, I think it'll help you make a better decision. So you know what you're walking into if you choose to either have sex or not have sex.
Right. Do you think there would be a decrease in it if it was taught in schools?
I think it depends on the culture. I just think people make a more educated decision. Even if there was an increase in it, people should learn more, how to protect themselves, use precautions, know what to ask their sexual partners and so forth.
Okay. Back over to you, Keegan.
Excellent job, Bianca. I thoroughly enjoyed the interview with the professor. Loved her point of view and how she received sexual education, especially in a different country. Now we're going to head over to our last and final interview of the segment with Shayla. Take it away.
Thank you, Keith Ann. I'm Shayla, and I'm here with
Sabrina Walling.
Today we're just going to be asking her a few questions. My first question to you is going to be, what type of sex education should be taught in schools, comprehensive or abstinence-only?
I would say more on the comprehensive kind of side. I think people need to kind of know the education that's out there.
Okay, can you explain on that a little bit more?
What age group are you targeting?
I would say any age group, from like middle school, elementary, high school. Do you think there should be a difference in each level?
I do think it should be, age appropriate for sure. Depending on the type of level, what things they might encounter. I think teachers and parents might have an actual idea of what age groups might encounter what. I've been so displaced from young children, but definitely comprehensive program.
Gotcha. My next question for you is going to be, do you believe there will be an increase or decrease in STDs with this type of teaching?
I would hope a decrease. With knowledge, people might be more apt to ask for or tend to go towards safe sex practices. Might take that extra moment to pause in the moment of passion, to make sure that they're safe and protecting themselves.
Gotcha. Another question I have for you is, were you taught about sex education in school?
Yes, they did have a class in high school, and it was just, kind of the basics on, what STDs are out there, what you can do to protect yourself, and, kind of pregnancy prevention.
Do you think it was effective for you or your classmates?
Yeah, I would say so. I didn't have any classmates that ended in pregnancy or, had a negative, how would you say that? A negative consequence of their actions, I guess, is how you would say it.
Gotcha. Why do you believe there is so much controversy about teaching sex education in school?
I think people are afraid if they're aware of it, then they might start practicing it earlier than if they had no awareness. But it's in the world, and unfortunately, I think education would be better than avoidance.
Gotcha. Have you ever considered abstinence from sex as a teen?
Well, yes, and definitely want to do abstinence until you find the right person.
And do you think there will be a decrease in teen pregnancy with this teaching?
I hope so, for sure. And there's so many opportunities for you, and you can always have children later in life. You know, you want to go to college and do different things, and it can just be extra hard when you have children. So hopefully it does reduce pregnancy.
And last question, what is your opinion on the other side?
On the other side,
Like abstinence, what is your opinion on it and that teaching?
I guess, how do they define it nowadays for abstinence? Just
Like
plain
saying no,
none.
Yeah.
I don't think that's realistic.
Can you explain a little bit?
Let's see. You know, people have hormones and urges and that type of thing. They're with, you know, when they're with their partner. I just don't think abstinence would be 100% the option people are going to go with. So let's be more realistic and, you know, tailor the education to that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Back to you, Keith Ann.
Excellent job, ladies. Well, that concludes today's segment. I'm your host, Keith Ann. Thank you so much for tuning in to CCN News. Have a great day and a better night. Until next time.